is my favorite well. After a long run around the trails and up and down the hills in the summer heat and humidity, there's nothing quite like a drink of water. You see, when we're really thirsty, all we seek is something to drink. Thirst is our body's way of telling us that we need water. Water protects us from dehydration. Water regulates our body temperature. Water aids in digestion. Water helps to remove waste from our bodies. We cannot live without water. The psalmist talks about a different type of thirst, a spiritual thirst. "O God, you are my God. I earnestly search for you. My soul thirsts for you. My whole body longs for you in this parched and weary land where there is no water." Do you ever feel like you lived in a parched and weary land where there is no water? I know I do. We feel dry because our responsibilities often exceed our resources. We are parched because a stressful relationship is draining much of our emotional energy. We feel unworthy because we play the comparison game and we usually end up losing. We are unfulfilled because we don't get to do the things we want to do with the people we want to do them with. We worry about our future or are anxious about the futures of loved ones. We are tired because of our hectic schedules. We are spiritually dehydrated because we don't know where God fits in all this mess. There was a day Jesus was parched and weary. He was traveling from Judea to Galilee. It was about a 70-mile journey. He would have walked this journey. Now, between Judea and Galilee was Samaria. It was a hostile territory. He stopped in Samaria in the village of Sychar. The Gospel of John tells us Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired from a long walk, sat wearily beside the well about noontime. Jesus didn't have a rope or a bucket. He was physically thirsty. He sat there and waited. Soon a Samaritan woman came to the well to get some water. Jesus then did the unthinkable. He asked her for some water. Just in this little conversation, Jesus broke two pretty major cultural norms. First, a Jewish man would never have initiated conversation with an unknown woman. It just wouldn't have happened. Second, Jews in general did not initiate conversation or contact with Samaritans. So the woman asked Jesus two very logical questions. Why are you talking to me? And why are you asking me for a drink? Jesus replied, "If you only knew the gift God has for you and who you are speaking to, you would ask me and I would give you living water." A few things in this text jump out. First, Jesus' previous conversation was with a man named Nicodemus. In the Bible, Nicodemus was named. He was a Jew, he was a male, he was religious, he was a leader. Nicodemus was a somebody. The woman at the well was never given a name. She was a Samaritan, she was a woman. She wasn't accepted for some reason, even in her own culture. If she were accepted, she would have went to the well early in the morning before it got hot. She was clearly avoiding people. As far as others were concerned, she was a nobody. Second, the conversation Jesus has with her in John 4 is his longest recorded conversation. None was longer. Jesus spent more time with a nobody than anybody else. If you've ever felt like a nobody, this is really cool news. You see, Jesus cares about the somebodies and the nobodies, religious leaders and people who are in hiding, Jews and Samaritans, men and women. Not only does Jesus care, Jesus welcomes and Jesus invites. Jesus said, "For the Son of Man came to seek and save the somebodies and the nobodies." Some of us are going to be somebodies like Nicodemus. Some of us are nobodies like the Samaritan woman. Some of us have the right family or friends or education or beliefs or whatever. Some of us have none of the above. But all of us are thirsty for at least a little bit more of life than we are currently experiencing. And many of us are thirsty for a lot more of life than we are currently experiencing. It's called spiritual dehydration. Some of us kind of have it, and some of us have it really bad. We ask the same question to Jesus that the Samaritan woman asked. "But sir, You don't have a rope or a bucket, and this well is very deep. Where would you get this living water? And besides, do you think you're greater than our ancestor Jacob, who gave us this well? How can you offer better water than he and his sons and his animals enjoyed? Now, this is a very legitimate question. We are overwhelmed and we are stressed out. We feel unworthy and unfulfilled. We experience weariness and fatigue. We wonder if Jesus can do anything about it. Many of us place the weight of the world on our own shoulders and don't accept Jesus' invitation to go to him and find rest. And Jesus replied, "Anyone who drinks this water will soon become thirsty again." If we are parched and weary, if we are spiritually dehydrated, we are drinking from the wrong well. The wells of approval and power, the wells of possession and food and fluids, the wells of sex and money and control. They will never satisfy or even come close to quenching our thirst for more life. The psalmist says, "You satisfy me more than the richest feast." You see, it is God who quenches our spiritual dehydration. Our deepest and most profound needs are met by the Creator of the world and the Creator of us. God relentlessly pursues us. Jesus will keep seeking us and keep inviting us to drink from the well that will satisfy our thirst for more life and quench our spiritual dehydration. I wonder if we are that Samaritan woman. Jesus should not have been on that road. He shouldn't have stopped at that well. He shouldn't have talked to her. Like the Samaritan woman, the gospel will come to us in unexpected ways at unexpected times. But we can create healthy environments where we are more receptive to what God is trying to do in us and through us. During these 11 weeks, I encourage you to relentlessly pursue God, to say no to the concept of instant gratification and take the next steps in moving forward in the only relationship you have that will last forever. I want you to be a self-feeder. You are the one who is responsible for your spiritual growth. Take responsibility for your own spiritual growth. Pray regularly, follow our Bible reading plan, worship weekly, connect in a small group. Give a portion of each day to relentlessly pursuing God. Trust that God can do more in you and through you in 23 hours than you can do alone in 24 hours. If you don't have that much time, trust that God can do more in you and through you in 23 hours and 45 minutes than you can do alone in 24 hours. By pursuing God, we will emerge as more rested, more balanced, more focused, and healed. This is one of my favorite places in the entire park. I call it David's Hill. My youngest son, David, was about 5 years old at the time. He climbed this hill as fast as he could. I stayed at the bottom, I tied my shoe, and I took my time going up. At the top of the hill, he took path A, I took path B. I was thinking for sure I was going to catch up to him. He realized he was alone, and I was nowhere to be seen. He yelled, "Daddy?" I replied, "Hey, David, I'm over here." I heard his little feet pitter-patter through the leaves and started walking toward him. He yelled again, "Daddy?" I shouted back, "We're getting closer, David." All of a sudden, at the top of the hill, I saw his little blonde hair emerge first, and then his big blue eyes, and then his huge smile. He looked at me with this great big smile on his face, and he said, "We found each other." We gave each other the obligatory chest bump, and we continued on our hike. Now, two people looking for each other in a park will find each other.
There's no such thing as coincidence. God has a plan for all that happens. It's our job to seek out His plan and deliver it. My name is Jeff Stasham, and I can say I probably didn't always believe that, but God did. God is a relentless pursuer. For that, I am ever grateful. You see, I'm just an ordinary guy who has a dark past. A past of sin, self-desire, and probably some self-destruction. But God had a plan to place me, an ordinary sinner, in a place where I strive to be a reflection of Him. Even before my time of darkness, God was placing people in my life that He knew would be essential for my transformation. First and foremost being John and Pam Ely. In the beginning, they were just another set of basketball parents in which their son Phil and my son Adam shared a court. However, during a period of my darkness, they didn't flee. Instead, they introduced me to something that has forever changed my life. They simply offered me an invite to the water's edge. That was God's plan. That was God's pursuit. I'll never forget my first service. I did my best to blend in. I grabbed a bulletin and proceeded to the back row chairs in the Commons area here at Millard West. I buried my face in the bulletin and hoped to go unnoticed. Within minutes, I was approached by a guy in jeans and an untucked button-down shirt. He made some small talk, and I figured he might be important because he had some sort of a microphone on his cheek. Then, when he took the stage and delivered the message, it clicked. So much for going unnoticed. Again, God's plan, God's pursuit. After several services and wondering where Pastor Craig was hiding the video camera on my life, I knew the Water's Edge was my church, my spiritual home. And like it or not, I guess that makes all of you my spiritual family. My life was beginning a transformation. In this transformation, I came to realize that the pursuit from God should not be one-sided. I needed to pursue God as well. I am doing this by volunteering on the setup and teardown team and being a point of contact for the men's ministry. Outside of the Water's Edge, I strive to be an authentic man. I strive to reject passivity, accept responsibility, lead courageously, and expect a greater reward, God's reward. Now, it's God's plan, my pursuit, and together, our great pleasure. The way I see it, we all have a past, some darker than others, and I'm no exception. But it's no coincidence, it's His plan. Our job is the pursuit. Not the pursuit of the plan, but the pursuit of Him. Because it's then and only then that our transformation can begin and we can live the life that He has planned. As it says in Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future."
When we pursue the one who is relentlessly pursuing us, an encounter with God will happen. Your spiritual dehydration will begin to be quenched. So start drinking the living water today.
We are thirsty.